Good evening, everybody. Hi, Melanderos with the CantinaMX Football Podcast. And joining me tonight is my compadre, Joel. Joel, how are we doing on this Monday night?
¿Qué huele, Jaime? Right here, man. Another week. We're getting closer to the Guardianes coming to an end. Four match weeks left. So, and it looks like it could be a bumpy ride for the Goats.
Another week, another draw. Chivas tied and ended the last game of the match week 13 with a draw against Tijuana right there on the border. It was a snooze fest. And you know the game is bad when the most exciting part of the game was the benches going at it and the head coach of Tijuana talking some smack and trying to get up on Chivas' grill. I'm not sure who set him off or if it was one of the assistant coaches, but man, he wanted some action.
Yeah, and Chivas fans disappoint. The hate on Vuce continues. But let's see, man, if he gets the team into Liguilla, and I know 12 teams qualify.
Hey,
but
man,
it would, huh?
We're sitting in a solid 8th position. Right where it's like you don't want to be the top of the class because you don't want to get too much attention. You want to be right there, right in the middle, No one's really paying attention to you.
Yeah, but as Chivas, Chivas fans should keep in mind this team hasn't qualified in like 6 straight tournaments. So shouldn't care about how the team looks. Just at least for me, qualify, then worry about that stuff. But I want to see them in the big dance again.
Yes, sir. We're going to go over match week 13. But before we do that, we did have a partido molero on Wednesday, and Mexico convincingly beat Guatemala 3-0. All 3 goals happened in the first half. Henry Martin wasted no time. 6 minutes into the game, Orbelin Pineda, a sight for sore eyes, going in there, scoring his first goal for Mexico in the minute 28. And then Sebastian Cordova scoring in minute 36. So it was a pretty good showing for Tata Martino and the players that he chose to defend the colors.
Yeah, I don't get hyped for these moleros. I used to.
It's hard to.
I used to want to see every game though, but it was. I mean, the good thing is that the team is playing again, because it had been a few months since their last match, so it's good to have football.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last friendly Mexico had this year. So it was nice to see them all in action. The result was expected. And on Wednesday, we will see them again, this time in Holland, and they'll be playing at Johan Cruyff Arena at exactly 11:45 a.m. That's in the West Coast Pacific time, and it will be a completely batch of players. So it's going to be players that are already out in Europe and a mix of players that are here in Mexico. But before I go any further, I think we have a third guest on the show. Chiquis, how your Pumas doing?
Doing okay, man. Got a good, not a good tie, but a good, sort of a good showing against America. Who sort of was weak on their defense. Allowed Pumas to get some 2 goals on them.
Yeah, America played Pumas. It was what's it called, the young clásico or the capital classic. And I'm not going to lie, man. The referees definitely had an influence on the game. Pumas were winning 2-1. And then
Chiquis doing his dishes.
Chiquis is on dish duty.
Hold on, let me mute while you're talking.
Um, yeah, Pumas were up 2-1, and then a controversial penalty call gives America the opportunity to tie the game with about 9 minutes to spare. So give credit
Yeah,
to Piojo
give
because
credit to
he hasn't lost a clásico this
you.
season.
You beat me to it, man. I was just gonna mention it. So
Tie
he's
Pumas,
played
man. He should have
he's
beat Pumas.
played, but still, Chiquis, this guy he's played 49 clásicos, and so the the you know the legendary coach for Ame is Jose Antonio Roca, Argentine, who he coached Mexico at the '78 World Cup in Argentina, one of the worst showings of Mexico ever. Uh, but this guy he's one of the historic coaches for the Águilas. He coached them in 52 clásicos. He won 21, he lost 12, and he tied 19. And Piojo, he has 49. So he's three from tying the guy as the most clásicos, but he already won more. He's won 25. He drew six. No, he lost six and tied 19. I mean, dude, out of 49 to only lose six,
It's not
that's
bad.
very impressive, man. I see the Americanistas and it's like, you guys are delusional, man. You don't know the coach you have. I get it. Team might not play the way you wanted, but this dude he already carved himself. He's up there, dude, with their all time greats. He really is. And I think he's gonna stay. Maybe I don't really see America sacking him just because he keeps them fighting and like we mentioned a podcast or two ago, I'm gonna stop being the team that spent the most and brought the biggest players. They're just not that team anymore. You could put Monterrey, Tigres, and even Cruz Azul, ahead of them. And I'm not really saying that as a knock. It's just Televisa, when we see what's going on with TV, because that affects, who owns America or Televisa, and they're a media conglomerate. But I'm pretty sure their main bread moneymaker is TV,
Hmm.
and we see how it's changing because online, people are just not watching TV the way they did, because there's just so many options now, streaming and whatnot. So I think that has hurt them, and we've seen it at least with Ame with they don't go on those spending sprees where at one point they had up to like 20 foreigners on payroll. Of course they'll loan them all out, but that's how many they would own. And now you see that with like Monterrey or Tigres. That's not them. They gotten more smart about it, but
So what you're telling me is Chivas TV has bled them out. It's done its job.
not not quite. I'll say like the Netflixes and the
Blim,
YouTube TV and all of that stuff.
blim.
Sinopolis and Chivas, and then Chiquis hacking fire sticks and whatnot.
I'll tell you
Well, look at
who's
the
not
game though.
sticking around. Paco Palencia got canned from Mazatlan, and
Before Paco, before we take the black nail polish off his fingers, let's, let me just go back to the Pumas game real quick. Have you guys talked about it already?
no.
No,
Okay, so Giovanni was totally, he started. Piojo put him in the start. He was just pretty much, I don't know where he was the whole game. He eventually took him out for Suarez. Defense let some pretty weak goals. There was a pretty good shot that should have went in. The goalie, wasn't Memo Ochoa. The goalie did a good job in replacing Memo and was able to block that. So it could have been an early goal for Pumas, and Pumas scored, of course, the two. And the pressure was always on during the whole game. by America. They just couldn't capitalize. Henry Martin also choked on a couple of occasions, really play up to what he normally does. So overall, as a team, I think America let that game go because they had plenty of opportunities, they had plenty of control of the game. But Pumas, held them off, and America didn't capitalize, and they got the tie. So for Piojo to get praise here, I mean, I understand he's got history on his side, and he's in third place. It's true. But if you look at the details, you can sort of see why Americanistas are like,
But Chiquis, it
they
was his
demand more.
third
You should
straight.
demand more.
Third
Should
Yeah,
straight
but it
demand
was
more.
his,
clásico. Yeah,
I mean,
and some of
maybe you're
his
coming from the
players.
Chivas perspective, where like you're used to being on the bottom of the table, so like third, you're like, oh man, never seen this before.
Well, you know,
nah,
it's
Chiquis, come on, come on.
the schedule is difficult. 3 clásicos in a row, and they pulled some of
Yeah,
his players for the friendly
did
against Guatemala, and you don't have Ochoa who got injured because of
he's
the
yeah
training.
he's gonna miss pretty much until the end of the. He should miss like the end of the season. He might be back for what for Liguilla maybe, and even then, are you gonna want to risk it playing a player recovery? And that's another positive that you mentioned right there, Jaime. This dude manages to do it with all these setbacks, and so that's why he deserves the praise. I know he got some criticisms because draws and whatnot, but it's not easy to do what he's doing. That's why he's up there with Roca, pretty much surpassed him on wins, and why he's not going to get beat for a long time. Just because what we see in Liga MX, coaches rarely last long, and so he's going to hold on to that record for a very long time. Uh, but yeah,
And
he does deserve, man. It's not easy, Chiquis. It's not easy, man.
and it's not going to continue to be easy because they will be playing León next, who are currently in first place, and León actually, if I'm not mistaken, won their match against Mazatlan, and that was the dagger for Paco Palencia. So yeah, take out your nail polish, guys. He's done.
I think that was a bit premature. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's
that
Mazatlan, man. What do you expect somebody to do with Mazatlan?
yeah, but I mean,
I mean, going off their
as a
Twitter, they were going to be world beaters, but in
Yeah,
reality,
yeah, but
all bad.
yeah, as the club, you don't want to start already like they're already going the route of the usual Mexican club of let's just sack the coach. Like I would just let him finish the season. If you feel that he's not the guy, then you start looking for someone, and then when the season ends, you give Valencia, shake his hand and send him on his way, and you bring the other guy. But to bring a coach
Tomas
like
Boy,
that
by
with
the
with
way, is who's
and
replacing it.
and see he keeps putting himself in these situations because he's tagged us like it's easy for fans to just criticize because we're watching on TV and we don't do the dia al dia and all that, and he gets called trash. But I mean, far from it, man. Very few people are gonna know the game the way he does just because how he's lived it as a player and coach, just being involved. But he's not that bad. He's just made some mistakes because we've seen what he did at with Morelia and then with Atlas, and he saved Atlas from relegation, and he took I think he took Morelia to the final. Can't remember, but he had pretty decent record at Cruz Azul. I think he ended up like getting too involved with like fans and media, like because he is known for being like a hothead. Um,
I just
but
posted
I
his points possible percentage with all the clubs he's been with, and none of them have hit the 50% mark except for Morelia back in 2009 to 2012 and Cruz Azul back in 2015 2016. So he's just one of those coaches you recycle, man. You throw in there.
yeah But look, at this point, I can't defend them. You want to be smart of when you come in, and for him to take the job with 4 games left is just another smear on him because what people are gonna remember is like, oh, Mazatlan finished in whatever spot, and so you know the way he came when he came to Chivas, and he came into a dumpster fire that the
Yep.
directiva had doused in gasoline, and they give him like a shovel so he could try to put it off with some dirt, and he just looked bad like right away, and it was hard for him to ever win fans over. Just yeah, this dude. But I mean, money must be good. He's like you don't even care at this point. You're guaranteed a 1 year check or whatever, so you don't care if you get fired. The money's in the mail.
He reminds me of like that I don't know if you guys seen that infomercial usually on daytime television where it's like this big ass thing of big ass tub of water and then they show like this putty and they drill a hole into the tub and it's like leaking water and they slam this putty into the tub and then it stops leaking. I think that's Tomas Boy. He's just like the putty that you guys stick and on on a sinking ship, but hey, we're gonna try and just put you in there and see if you can just stop the bleeding, I guess. But Mazatlan are now sitting in second to last place with 10 points, and only Atletico San Luis is behind them with 8. So they had a beating 3-0 to Tigres, and yeah, Atleti not doing so hot.
Yeah, Atleti, man.
There was a makeup game for Tijuana, so they played on Wednesday, same day as the Mexico friendly, and they beat Juarez. So it's kind of like a border battle there because they're both located near the borders and stuff. But yeah, the Chivas game, very disappointing, 0-0 draw, and that was a game that should have been 3 points for Guadalajara, because Tijuana got their TV rights with Fox. I actually had to watch the game in English, and it was Kobe Jones talking. And besides wanting to blow my brains out, they were just saying, this was a game for Chivas to this was a guaranteed 3 points. Like they were supposed to go up there and win, and they didn't. And they were also analyzing the game that Chivas just have a really tough time with their decision making in the final third. And Macias, man, where is this guy? This guy's gone missing. He got subbed out actually, and Chivas needed a goal, and you sub out your best player or your best striker, so it was definitely a questionable game for Vucetic. I don't know. I don't understand his substitutions. I don't understand what he's trying to do there, but to pull Macias, man, it's just like damn. Makes me miss Pulido, who got named Man of the week for MLS, Player of the week. He scored 2 goals. Good for Pulido, and he's going to Holland for the friendly.
Wait, he ended up. I didn't know he was called. Did he?
Yeah.
Did he get called because players, or was he just called from the beginning?
No. So he got called up on the original list. Henry Martin, Pulido, Chucky Lozano, Tecatito, and Raul. Those are the strikers. So,
and
yeah.
he scored. He scored on the.
Yeah.
I was seeing none of his goals.
He scored 2
So
of them.
good for him then.
Yeah.
I'm a fan because, like, I mean, I'm not really a fan, but I remember the days whenever he got kidnapped, and he like battled his way out of it. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
this dude's a macho man. Man, he may be wearing like skinny jeans and short shorts and all this stuff. But this dude,
Yeah.
and he goes against the kidnappers and stuff, and he's freed himself.
This
He-
guy,
he
this guy,
come-
A man's man.
he watches Billy Blank's Tabo Ho videos. He's got that down. Self defense.
Yeah.
That I don't know. And for those listening that might not get Chiqui's reference, so when Pulido returned to Mex from Greece, I think Was he just vacationing in Mex, Chiquis, or had he already signed with Chivas?
I think this is
I thought it
Um,
was.
before Chivas.
Yeah,
so
it's
he
before
was
Chivas. I
he
thought
was
Tigre.
in
Was
no
it
no
Tigre
he
too?
was in Greece, and I think he vacationed. He came back to Mex as like a vacation, and like during the off season, and so supposedly he was kidnapped, and he managed to like free himself, and then he kung fu fought his way to safety. And and the weird thing is that like it was reported, but then it was I think his brother who went on the news to talk about it because he didn't want to talk about it. So he never gave like a first hand account. We got a second hand account.
He's probably, you know, it's not something you want to talk about, especially if it's still, burned into your brain. Maybe down the road he'll talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's it just seemed fake.
Yeah, normally I'd be hating on a dude for going to MLS and saying that okay, that's not the best thing in his career. He's doing good. He's doing better.
He's doing better
In
than
Chivas.
Macias.
Oh, and Chivas, yeah, Macias. Pizarro hasn't.
Wait, but hay niveles, dude. Hay niveles. I, he, he
Macias
is
has
in
been choking.
MLS.
Macias been choking
Huh?
though, man.
Yeah, he's missed a few penalties, but I mean,
But
he's there.
Pulido
But
has
I
a
mean,
history though with Chivas. Macias hasn't
yeah,
even
but
met up to what Pulido has done with Chivas. So once Macias got
yeah, of
some work to
course
do.
he was there longer, but he did have some seasons where he was a dud. And I remember the Chivo hermanos would make the excuse that well he drops to midfield to help win back the ball. Is it, but to me it's like that's not what they brought him for. You don't pay 18 million so that he could come and help win possession back. They brought him so he could score goals, and he did at the beginning. He scored clutch goals. He helped with the doblete, and then he sort of disappeared, and then he reappeared with winning the goal scoring title, which just kind of confirmed what I was saying. Where it's like, cause he to me, I think he does have that talent. He's able to do that.
Funny that you mentioned that. Joel Angel Mata in the comment section mentions that Pulido finished tied as the top goal scorer in Liga MX, got no call up, and then he goes to the MLS. He's got 5 goals under his name. He gets called up. Makes no
Was
sense.
was Tata though the coach?
Um, it's a good question. I don't think he was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also like situations change.
Yeah.
Some of the players like Chicharo's stock has dropped.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not the player he was,
But
and
he's
then
throwing
other
hands with
players
Chris Wondolowski.
other players have aged out like Orbelin, not Orbelin, I mean Oribe, Hermoso. So the you know situations change. So I mean Puli's there, and he's always been because he's always sort of been on the radar because he's been getting called up since he was a youth.
I think Pulido right now. I mean, keep in mind we don't really have a large pool of Mexican strikers, so I'll take what we have. And like you mentioned, Chicharito right now is out of the picture. Carlos Vela is out of the picture. Our best striker is Raul Jimenez, and in that number 2 spot, I mean, who do you even give it to? Macias isn't performing the way we thought he would. Henry Martin, I guess. I mean, he would be next in kin, but I mean, Pulido, why not? Why not give him the opportunity? Even though it is the Mickey Mouse League, but right now our options are very, very, very limited, and we'll see if he even gets minutes in that Holland game. I don't think Chucky Lozano is going to make it because I believe there's a COVID situation happening in Napoli, so I don't think he's going to Holland. Let's go over some more results over the weekend. There was pretty entertaining game with Querétaro and Rayados. Monterrey was up 1-0, and then in the 85th minute, Querétaro tied it, only for Stefan Medina to get the game winner 2 minutes later. So that was a pretty entertaining match yesterday. And Monterrey won 2-1, and they are currently sitting in 6th position, right behind Tigres. Then we had Toluca, a surprising victory over Cruz Azul with an interim coach. So you get rid of Chepo and you start winning games.
I'm not surprised. we at least me. I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat and say the players
they didn't like him.
Le tendieron la cama.
Ándale. Okay.
Oh, there was talk about locker room problems, and that's one of the reasons they sent Talavera to Pumas. So he's on loan at Pumas.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
He's been pretty key for them. He's been doing a pretty good job of taking over from their legendary what's his name, Chiquis?
Cristante?
No, man, at Pumas.
Oh, Bernal.
No, come on. Chiquis should know this. Come on.
Hold on a second.
Is he talking about Picolín?
Picolín, of course, man. The Picolín was Pico Dios, man.
Had noise.
Chiquis was trying to Google it, man.
Come
on,
Chiquis.
Chiquis.
In my background. I didn't hear what you were talking about.
Oh, he was washing dishes.
He was. he's watching the. No, but I mean, yeah, he came in, and that's we have a really good keeper, and I think he's been doing a good job. But word was that he was one of the persons causing problems there, and but yeah, I'm not surprised, man. All of a sudden, this guy's gone, and now these players are giving it their all. So yeah, le tendieron la cama. Feel a little.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel a little bad for Chep just because he's had such a bad deal as far as like not being able to at least have a good directiva to work with. So for example, he returns to Chivas and takes him to the Copa final, and he takes the team to the semifinals, which they had not been in years. And then they boot him. People are going to say for results, but that doesn't make sense. It was like 5 games into the season, but it was the whole takeover at this point when I was cleaning house. So I could see why. The De La Torres weren't taking orders from him, so he boot them out. He goes to Santos, and he had a pretty, he helped put that team, and they were doing like all right, but I think he just couldn't get through to the players, and this is when Siboldi takes over, and they go on to win it all with Siboldi. And then he right here, Toluca, and you would think Toluca, where he's won 2 league titles, they would have more faith in him, and apparently they did not. And for so many games left in the season, and they're still in the fight. This is why you end up looking bad a lot of times, taking these coaching jobs. One of the discussions we had, Chiquis, when we had it, I forgot when, maybe like 2-3 pots ago, we were talking about. Oh, it was the Gonzalo Pineda, right? Like he did not want to come to Pumas. And we were talking about he was just not going to have those guarantees that he might get at the Sounders, wherever he is, that he's one of the assistant coaches. And so we kind of do see it with certain teams that are just more willing to let you work. What we see with Mati at San Jose, man, I don't think he would have lasted that long in Liga MX. I think by the second or third wash, they would have flushed him down the toilet. But from what we saw with Matias, they lo aguantaron, and he won 2 games in back to back, and both clásicos for San Jose, and both against the Galaxy and the LAFC. So I mean, sometimes you just need to, let the coach work.
Yep. A little bit of a head scratcher for Cruz Azul because the only 3 defeats they've had this season. The first one was against Gallos, the second one against Atlas, and now against Toluca. It's like, I don't know, man. Head
Yeah,
scratcher.
yeah, for being one of the candidates
They're in second
and
place.
to lose. Yeah, but not just because they're in second. Just overall how they've been performing since last season and the season before. They're one of the strongest and squad. Like just the players top to bottom, bench, all of that. So yeah, they're one of the candidates. But that's why, like, when having a coach like Buse can pay off, because you make it to Liguilla, and Buse is the type of coach that could get you some of these type of wins.
Yeah. Cruz Azul will probably stake around in the top 3, top 4, while before this is all said and done. But yeah, they're definitely one of those suspicious teams. It's like, Then again, fluke results happen all the time, as we've seen in the English Premier League. Man United getting a 6-1 defeat, and then Liverpool also losing 7-2 against Aston Villa. So, I mean, right now this is happening all over the globe. These unpredictable results, they're not just in Mexico. Juarez and Pachuca tied 1-1 yesterday. Another goal for Pocho Guzman, which, god damn, I wish we had him, because he's exactly what we need. Hopefully we can get him back. I don't know.
Well, there was that, for Chivas, that it was too much of a gamble, because they weren't sure if what the ruling was gonna be, and so this guy was facing a pretty lengthy suspension. So I mean, you just can't buy a player that you're not gonna use. That could be you're gonna pay what they were paying, about close to 10 million or something like that.
It was a lot of money, yeah.
It was gonna be the top transfer, and for the club, and to pay all that money, and then this guy gets sent to the freezer, and then that's it. You're just gonna pay him to sit at home, and I guess he could maybe play the esports league for you, but that's that's just, yeah, it was bad business. So yeah, Chivas had to send him back, and but if everything's clear, and he's doing good, I do think the club should go after him again.
Yeah. Throw in Chonkies, get rid of him, and then just use that money to buy Pocho.
Well, depends how much they'll get. How much will you get, man?
I don't know, man. I'm sure he's
a
still
box
worth.
of frozen gancitos, dude.
Yeah, I think he would have been just a breath of fresh air in that midfield, helping the attack, and I mean, he's doing well for Pachuca.
Well, the offer that he did, that Trophies did get, and it's from MLS. So
was it?
there's that. Yeah, he said it in an interview. So I mean,
Oh.
there's still that, where
I wonder who
they
it
could just sell
was.
him abroad. It's one of the new clubs.
Oh, was it? It was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I forget the name, but it was one of the newer clubs.
Oh.
Not like Galaxy or LAFC or
Oh, okay.
any of those teams. Yeah, it was.
And then Atlas, they beat Necaxa, or sorry, they lost to Necaxa 1-0. Necaxa's first victory after, man, 6 or 7 jornadas. So they're no longer in the dead last position. And now with 12 points, I mean, you can't even rule out the possibility of Liguilla because Juarez are in 12th position with 14. So it's so crazy, man. It's like you have less points than the amount of games you've played, but you can still have the possibility of squeezing into Liguilla. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of concerning, man, but it is what it is. Those are all the results for match day 13. We're going to start basically slowing down because Mexico will have 2 friendlies and Liga MX will not resume play until the 15th, which is 10 days from now. There will be a makeup match day 12 for Santos versus Tijuana on the 11th. That's a Sunday. But yeah, it seems like the focus right now will be on El Tri against their match against Holland and Algeria. So I don't know if you guys have any predictions or thoughts about these upcoming friendlies.
No, friendlies. I don't put much stock into them. I know people are gonna be looking forward to the game against Holland just because Mexico doesn't face opponents of that caliber, regularly. So that should be an entertaining game. But I just don't put stock because a lot of times they don't mean much. You could get washed. That doesn't mean you suck. Or you could whoop on them and that's not gonna make you the world beaters. Um, it's just a friendly. A lot of times is I put more stock in to see how certain players are doing, or if the saying "si les pesa la camiseta," or if maybe you start seeing some interesting combinations of some of these players, how they pair up and whatnot. That's usually what I look forward to. But nah, I don't know, man. I just haven't looked forward to any selection stuff. Maybe when World Cup qualifying resumes, But I don't know. I just haven't cared about what's going on with mi CantinaMX.
Got high standards. You want to see the best of competition, and that's just not a friendly.
Chiquis, you're kind of low.
It's not even But you can't hear me?
I could barely hear. It's like you're whispering sweet nothings into my ear.
We have entered the ASMR section of this podcast.
You're gonna have to bring me chocolates and take me to meet your parents, Chiquis.
Say it with your chest.
Messed up.
All right, we just gotta be really quiet for Chiquis to.
I was just saying that the national team not going through real competitions right now, so people like to see actual non-friendly competitive matches, and the national team is just not at that moment right now. So even CONCACAF qualifying a lot of times is just Mexico beating up on these teams, unless you're talking about when Chepo coached. Then there's a little bit of challenge going on, but yeah, wait until qualifying then you can enjoy your national team stuff.
As of right now, Mexico ranks 11th in the world according to Coca-Cola, and Netherlands are in 13th position. So we are actually the better team according to Coca-Cola.
Well, that's what, that you just make the game that much more interesting for me. And we did talk about this, how Mex could push for us to be a seeded team. Yeah. So now you've just given me a reason to watch. Yes, an incentive to watch this in Nigeria's game.
You'll be like,
or at least to care for the results.
You know what,
Because yeah,
Maury and Jerry Springer and Dr. Phil, I will not be tuning in. Instead, I'll be watching Mexico play at during the daytime television.
yeah, yeah. That's a big right there. That's a biggie, and so that's good for that.
All right,
Well, let's see what happens.
I want to throw something out there because it's kind of hard not to talk about it. But the men's national team, the U.S. men's national team, they just had another significant transfer during this window that just closed today, and one of their promising stars has joined Barcelona. So, guys, is the gap closing, or is this just some more humo, some more smoke?
Chiquis, you can go first.
The gap doesn't close until an actual match takes place.
Serginho
this is sort of promising. Like a lot of U.S. national team fans are really hyped about this. But, it doesn't matter until we actually go against Mexico. We see how these guys actually work out. Like what's the dude's name that had 3 assists? They're calling it the hat trick of assists.
Are you
Gio,
talking about Gio Reyna?
Gio Reyna. Yeah, they're going crazy about him getting the hat trick of assists. And
well,
I remember
he's like
when
17.
yeah, he's
Chiquis.
17 years old. 17
Dortmund.
years old. He was born in England. He's the son, of course, of Claudio Reyna. So he's been brought up to love soccer, and he's a promising kid. But when they play the Mexican national team, that's what I want to see. I want to see what
Exactly.
really happens, because when all the hype was around Christian Pulisic, and they went up against Mexico, Mexico won.
They lost. Yeah.
And Christian Pulisic, he did have some good moments, but he couldn't take the team.
Well, there's the thing, Chiquis, because the thing is that all of those guys are still very young, so it's projected that in a few years, with that core of talent, that they will overtake Mex. So as of now, you could say no, but it is like what some fans are like, I guess, predicting, or fans and experts and armchair tacticians and whatnot, La Vecina and all that. So they're seeing that, and they're like just licking their chops. It's and we and because
that was us like 10 years ago with Vela and Gio and Jonah,
yeah, it was, yeah, exactly. But I would say maybe one difference is that these guys are getting more playing time. So like Dest, hope I'm saying his name right, he was playing with Ajax, and now it remains to be seen if he's going to be a starter or get significant time with Barca. But that's still a big move to go from Ajax to Barca, and then Gio Reyna starting at 17 and whatnot. And then Pulisic, he's playing, and he's been already playing for a while. So I mean I would say that's more of a difference, because Gio was never able to break into the first team, and then he went to Tottenham, and then he got sent to lower divisions, and then with Vela, it took him a while. He couldn't break into the Arsenal, and eventually took him out to he found at Real Sociedad, to he like you know just that's where he ended up doing really good. But and then Jonah as well. He same. He couldn't at Barca, but he ended up doing good at Villarreal. But it took him a bit. I would say overall, it took them a bit longer. These guys seem to be going a bit more accelerated. It could be for different.
The brass tacks is our players didn't pan out. Vela had a respectable career in Europe, but with Gio and Jonah, they definitely fell below expectations. Now, I will give Jonah a little bit of slack because he has always performed for the Mexican national team, and I'll give him that. But I guess the difference is these players are joining these clubs at a young age, and like I mean, Pulisic is playing for Chelsea, and he's not just like on the bench. He's actually contributing to their success. So I guess I can understand where the hype is coming in from, but Like,
Well, yeah, because they're playing and they're in big clubs.
yeah.
And I could say our Mex like golden generation was when they were in big clubs they weren't playing, and then they ended up playing but at smaller clubs. So that's the difference. But I think it still remains to be seen how much of an impact these guys will have, and if they're going to, if they're going to stay there. And I'm not saying this to hate. Yeah, this kid did the three assists, but it could have just been that game. Let's see how he pans out before people start, already, you know,
Hey, one thing they do.
celebrating. Because and we did mention this a while back about how they had Julian Green at Bayern Munich, and how they were talking about that this guy was going to be the next Freddie Adu, and I haven't heard of that guy since, man.
That reminds me of that era of the U.S. national team. So there's been some talk because I think recently Serginho Dest had an interview in English, and I didn't listen to it, but I just looked at the replies, and apparently he's got an accent. So he was born
Well,
in the
yeah,
Netherlands.
because he's
What
yeah,
is
Born in
he?
the Netherlands, and his mom
Oh,
is
he's
Dutch, and
Dutch.
his dad is, or no, his mom is Dutch, yeah, and his dad is American.
Hmm.
He grew up playing in the Ajax Youth Academy until oh no, in Almere City until 2012. Then he moved to Ajax Youth Academy. So
He,
that's one thing I look at Mexican players, like where did they grow up? Where did they develop? Did Mexico really develop them? And for the United States national team, this was the same thing that happened back with Jurgen Klinsmann. They had
yeah,
how
the
old is
German
he?
the
Yeah,
German born
they're all
players.
German. They're all German players, and that just goes to back to the U.S. not being a soccer nation, not developing young soccer talent,
Chiquis
and they
low
have
key
to
hating on
rely
Pochos
on the
again.
Germans. They have to rely on the naturalized or the our
Just
kids
say
that
it,
grow up in
Chiquis.
a soccer nation.
Ju-
But
Just say it, Chiquis. You're not finding a Sergio Dest in East LA, or a
hey, you're not
or a
finding this
Gio, or
player.
a Gio Reyna in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, you're not finding him. You're not finding him in FC Miami or in Real Salt Lake or in North Carolina.
Too much salt, Chiquis.
these
Too
kids
much.
these kids aren't going to be playing no soccer sport, man. It's just like you
I
even
agree.
go and people like I was talking to some guys on a class I'm taking, and they were talking all like hockey and stuff, and I was just waiting for someone to say, "Hey Albert, what's your sport? What sport do you like?"
No,
And I'm
no
like,
one asked you,
am I
Chiquis.
am I gonna say soccer and then have them
I,
make fun of me or what? This is the United States, dude.
All right.
but
I'm
but
gonna
Chiquis,
say
no
I'm gonna
one
say
asked you,
MMA.
right? You,
I want to say MMA.
Chiquis waited, and no one asked for his opinion.
No one asked, dude. I ain't commenting because they were talking about like hockey and college football, and then basketball is more fun to watch because it's fast paced and stuff like that. Once they started getting into like fast pace, if I was to mention soccer, man, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm in the 15th minute, I'm falling asleep and stuff."
Yeah. Angel Mata in the comments saying that Memphis Depay, Van de Beek, De Jong, De Ligt are gonna rip us apart. That spine is elite. This is in regards to the Holland match on Wednesday. And he says these transfers of the U.S. men's national team players in elite clubs is financial doping by USSF, ESPN, Fox, and 2DN are hyping them up. This is a big gamble if these guys flop. So, thanks for your input there, Angel Mata.
Oh, wait, so he's talking about the English soccer coverage are hyping up the U.S. national team players. Is that what he's saying?
No, he's saying like the Latinx sporting networks are hyping them up. ESPN
But
Deportes, Fox
they've
Deportes.
always done they've
Well, it
always
doesn't matter
done
though.
that. No, you know what? This has always been because the Mex, especially Mex, the press in Mex, they've always been very.
Salty.
But they always they have always looked at the U.S. for some reason, even though Mex has like the more, they've been the more prestige team. They've been the more successful, but Mex has like the more. I could hear myself with echo.
I can hear yourself too.
What's going on there, man? Is it? Am I in the future?
I think that's Cheeky's.
Cheekies, do you have the YouTube on? God damn it, Cheekies.
Here, I'll mute him. Go on, Joel.
No, so let's go back to when Donovan was one of the youth, and they had a couple. There was like 3 or 4. DeMarcus Beasley, Donovan, and I forgot who, but they ended up doing really good at a under 20, I think it was. It was like a FIFA youth tournament, and they did so well. And the whole talk was that that they were gonna surpass us, and how they're more, better prepared and whatnot. And what we ended up seeing was Mexico goes on to win 2 under 17s and then an Olympic gold medal. US hasn't gotten close to that. So and so I've always seen it. Even you go even further back to when the US had the Project 2010. Like, hello?
I'm
Still
here.
hearing
We're
myself.
listening.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm just saying. So it's just the same stuff all over again.
Yeah.
They just every so years it's like they forget and they start it up all over again with the whole we're not working right and they're gonna overtake us. And it just hasn't happened. But it's like you see it with football. It's pretty random how you will eventually, like, it could come in waves where you end up getting so many good players, or you could hit dry spells where you just don't have that talent. So sometimes it don't matter. You could be doing everything right. Like you've seen it with like Ajax. For years they had like one of the best like youth setups, and then it just dried up. And for a while they weren't producing until just recently again they started. And you see it I mean, probably Barcelona right now. They haven't really taken anyone from La Masia, and as they were at one point, where it's like they seem to just be churning out talent after talent. So that's bound to happen where the U.S. is just gonna have a good camada of talent. But I don't think the press is, they're not gonna. They need to sell. They need the clickbait. So of course they're always gonna go with the comparisons and the doom and gloom and all that.
I just don't understand why we're constantly looking into our rearview mirror. We should not be concerned about what the United States is up to and what players are going where, and I never understood the obsession with that. It's like we need to be focusing on like playing against teams like Holland, like Belgium, like France, like Germany, Brazil. We need to start worrying about countries outside of our region, because these CONCACAF tournaments are a joke, man. And it's like, yeah, they keep saying, oh, the gap is closing, or we almost had you when it comes to like CONCACAF Champions League and all that. But it's just like, come on, man. Like, until you guys actually win a trophy, like, we're just going to worry about ourselves. And there also hasn't really been like, oh, a guarantee that because you export more players abroad and because you have more players in, these leagues, it hasn't really translated to the national team success, and we've talked about it. I feel like it's like a dead horse at this point, but majority of our team used to be domestic. Like the Mexican national team used to be domestic for a long, long time, and we've still shown up in the world stage. So it's like, it doesn't really matter,
No, but on the other side of the token, I think if the U.S. does end up having this really good team, I think it's good for the rivalry, and it will also, give Mex that kick in the ass to keep improving. So I think that is a positive right there.
Yeah, Mexico's chilling. They're like, hey, look, these guys are our gringo friends are willing to overpay for our players to play in their league, and they let us have friendlies out here. Then we make a killing out here. So, they're just collecting their cash, and Mexico will continue to produce mediocre results, but consistent results. Round of 16 team, man. That's just who we are. But I think our chances will be good for the World Cup in 2026 when it's here.
With the 42 teams. No, I mean, is it going to 42 in Qatar?
I want to say it's 48.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
once the World Cup hits like 54 teams, I think we'll be just because it is like 60 teams. So yeah, we'll be playing more than a quinto partido just because
Yeah.
of how many teams.
We finally got the quinto partido, guys. With 100 teams left.
Hey, but like even though it's quinto partido campeones, there's only 2 teams that have qualified from group stage since the 94 World Cup. So from the 94 World Cup until the last, only 2 teams have consistently qualified and made it out of the group stage. And that's Brazil and Mex.
Exactly.
Teams that have fallen, Argentina, with Bielsa as coach, failed to get out of the group stage. Italy,
France,
Germany, France. So we've seen some big teams that failed to get out of there. So, I mean, no, but they don't count as much as like those, those historic teams.
Yeah.
And plus, and
what was that, Chiquis?
But yeah, Chiquis is back.
I've been thinking of like a theory, man. This is some crazy theoretical stuff.
Do we have to put on our tinfoil hats?
It's just like scenario type of stuff. Like whenever the Mexican national team like almost failed to go to the World Cup, I was sort of thinking like, oh, man, I hope they lose, and and they don't go to the World Cup, and it really makes some change happen, like
2014. Yeah.
Not to be like all negative, but like burn it all down and then just rebuild from scratch. So like if that were to happen, like could some real change happen then? But then I think of like the culture, man, like the Mexican culture. I would go to Mexico and watch the national team, and then they would end up losing, and all the people in Mexico would be like, "Oh, that national team is no good. They suck. They're no, they'll never win anything and all this stuff." And it's just like negativity. And then we see that with the press, like wanting to hype the U.S. players and all this stuff, and oh, they're gonna beat Mexico, and oh, Mexico's not the gigante from CONCACAF and all this stuff. Man, if this like culture is left in Mexico, and like the pocho guy in the U.S. adopts like some other type of attitude and mentality, winning mentality, and if the U.S. I mean, take the women's national team for example. The U.S. women's are there because they have the mentality, they have the seasoned players in soccer.
No, but they had.
Imagine a bunch of pochos in the U.S. growing with that same mentality. Maybe sub to like a sub team to the U.S. national team when they eventually win like 2 World Cups. And these guys come in, and then Mexico increases.
The women's is not a good comparison because, if just compared to the rest of the world, like the U.S. overall had more opportunities for female soccer players. So I mean, just from high school and then college, and then all the colleges, universities that practice the sport, and not just practice it, but they passed the Title X law, which meant they were gonna get, funds from from the school, that how they allocate funds to the sports teams, and so that law that passed made it so that, I'm not too sure on the law, which Ron or Yon were here, but that they had enough money, so they just had money to have those programs, which meant you could recruit good players, you could have good coaches, and so that's just a
I get that.
that just became a big advantage
Yeah, so women,
over.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I know that. What you're saying pretty much with all the Title IX and all that stuff is
Yeah,
women were more often seen playing sports and liberated, if you want to call it that, and had more. I won't say like rights or anything, but they were more likely to be out there doing, like their full-time job, playing sports, going pro in the other country, and so they had the advantage. They started playing soccer
yeah,
at higher
because I mean,
levels than any other
look,
country.
look at Mex. Their league just started like what
Yes.
last year or 2 years ago, and so I
Yeah.
mean that makes a big
And then
difference.
all their players, like all the best Mexican players, are probably from the United States. They went to United States universities.
Hey,
They're
Chiquis,
they're they're they're
I
pocha.
and so
I don't
that's
know about that
Chi-
one.
No,
wait,
Um,
it's the truth,
Chiquis,
dude.
is that?
That's the truth.
Yeah, it is. It has been. Yeah,
I know some of
Chiquis.
the Juarez players are from over here, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, the
what?
national
But
team
Chiquis,
for Mexico has
is that
been
the exception to the Pocha rule? To the Pocha rule? Because
well, yeah. Well,
you
so my
is
theory is sort of going off a little bit. So you are correct on what you're saying that if Mexican players can leave behind that negativity culture in Mexico, adopt some type of winning culture in the United States as pochos, and not be like looking to the United States as, oh, they're our
Rivals.
little brother rivals, and we need to always beat them. No, we need to look at bigger things, like Jaime, you were saying. We need to look at beating the Netherlands. We need to look at beating Germany and all this stuff, and forget about CONCACAF and stuff.
Exactly.
But we're all obsessed with like, oh, we're struggling with the United States, or we're going to, like Faitelson said today. Uh, oh, what an honor to go play the Netherlands national team, and this is a really great opportunity. There's such a huge team for us, and all, just like honoring them and stuff. And
that's where I don't
Yeah.
like the whole
I think
riding the Euro nuts just because you could play in Europe or you play those and then you get better, and I've never been in that train of thought. My thing has been if you improve your league, uh, then you don't have to worry about it. Like Brazil, Argentina, they they don't have to depend on stuff because their leagues are solid and at least in player development. So I think that's where Mex falters because they produce very little players. They don't. Like if you look at a 4-year cycle, they end up calling about 80 players will get called into camp for the national team. So then if you look at how many Mexican players there are in Liga MX, it's about 150. So your odds are pretty good of being seleccionado at least once if you are a regular starter in Liga MX. So I mean, what does that say of the competition? It's just not that much. That's why if you make it, and you'll see some players that people say they're trash, but how come they're still there? Well, because there's not that much competition because their teams make money from selling, and it's buying and selling, and from abroad, of course, they bring from South America where they could get them cheap, and then they'll sell them, just in Mex or somewhere else, and that's how they're making money. And we've talked about like the comparisons with Ormeño and Dineno. Is that what is Jaime? Am I getting it right?
yeah,
are
The
you talking about
Puma striker,
Dineno
the
and
Pumas. Yes,
yeah.
yes, Norme.
Uh-huh.
And we compared their careers, and it's like night and day. And so, but that's why we're saying if like if you were saying if Mexico would have crashed and burned and not made it to the World Cup, I guarantee you that would have been the big change. They would have gone back to three foreigners, or maybe to three or four. Supposed to 11, because you know that ultimately it's a numbers game. So how are you gonna have more talent and develop? Because you need more spaces for these players to play. But uh, the own league, the own the own owners and whatnot, they're not giving it to the local talent.
yep.
I'm just tired of like you mentioned, like, oh, like the Euro, like they're so much superior to us. It's like, at what point are they gonna start looking at us as a threat, or at least equals? And I think that's the big shift that needs to happen.
Well, I think some teams do see that because, like, let's say you're going in a World Cup and you have Mex in your group, you're not gonna see them as the easy team, especially with what we've seen Mexico doing for the past, what is it? Help me with my maths here, Chiquis. Since '94, over
Six,
20 years, almost
six,
30 years now,
yeah,
from '94 to 2018,
26 or
26. There you go. For the past 26 years, you know that this team always makes it. So if you're in a group with Mex, you're like, oh shit, you're not gonna take them lightly. Uh, and so I think that's some form of respect. Same when Mex started going to Copa America, and they were a team that would, make it out of the group and end up. They made it to two finals and a couple semifinals. So I do think they've garnered respect, but they just haven't been able to do like what Croatia did, or Turkey, even South Korea, where you go on a pretty
yeah, you
solid run.
you break the ceiling, man. And it's
Yeah,
like,
they just
and it
that's been lacking because I do think Mexico's been close. They just had bad luck, like when they end up losing to the U.S. That was 0-2.
and it's the messed up part is the people that do think this way or do want to break the ceiling or do have like these crazy thoughts. We make fun of them, like Chicharito, who was like, "Why do we have to like limit ourselves?" And then they end up making a meme about quesadillas and stuff. It's like,
Hugo Sanchez for a lot of years, he said we could win the World Cup, and he did. He get clowned on. He got clowned on hard.
yeah, because you have to have that mentality and you have to have like that self belief. But I feel like Mexicans just like to hate on Mexicans, and then we just end up going in circles. But Funes Mori will save us. I'm just kidding.
Christian Jimenez will. We
Junior.
we have our own we have our own players born abroad.
You know he needs. You know who needs to save us, man.
Vela,
The base of the national team, Chivas from Guadalajara.
Oh God.
But the Chivas femenil,
hey,
man, they won
the,
8-0, dude.
I'm
The
I
femenil
am
needs to get called up to the men's team.
I am in favor. I am in favor of fielding the femenil team for our next game because they are playing with more balls. I swear to God, they're playing with more balls. They just beat Rayadas 4-2, and they're looking better than our senior team. So I'm down.
oh man, I need to watch a few of those games because I haven't.
Yeah, they're lighting up Twitter right now. More comments from Angel Mata saying, said Funes Mori coming, gracias a Dios. We got to get those passports figured out. Yeah, I guess. COVID might rebalance the world soccer, and Mexico will be able to reach those levels of European success. We'll see. Social media ad revenue. I saw somebody on Twitter earlier complaining about how there's, number one, the clubs that are in Liga MX, not all of them have an English Twitter account, and like the ones that do have an English Twitter account, maybe like 3 of them are consistently active. And like the other ones have been dormant for like months, and
But because there's no money, and they know there's no money in there. Yeah, we've talked about this. We've seen it. We've seen it. I don't know if you remember, and me and Chiquis were keeping track back when Facebook was doing English broadcast of Liga MX.
oh,
You
okay.
could see games on Facebook, and we would go on the chat, and it was all in Spanish.
Yeah.
And I would go in there, and I would purposely go in there and put stuff in English, and no, like it was just rare. Every now and then someone would say something, but all the chat, everything that was just like going was in Spanish, and and then a lot of it complaining, why is this in English? It's like this just didn't get the memo. But so it's not.
Yep.
I think a big reason, and we said it, that the league, that the Mex League here is so popular is because of the paisas, because we
Yeah.
keep having immigrant community keeps it replenishes every so often, and that's what keeps it going. And we had the guy Franco here,
Mm-hmm.
Walter, who's he's in the whole marketing, and they're expecting the whole rating things to drop. Though he's saying 5 years, I expected longer. I don't see it so quick,
And where's our boy?
so soon.
Where's our boy Nico Cantor nowadays? Him and what is his name? Ramses Sandoval. Or
They
the
were
guy
the ones
on.
doing the English.
They were the ones doing the English
Oh,
transmission on Facebook.
they still
He's doing
do.
He's doing MLS now. He's all
Yeah.
in MLS.
I saw a little. It was like a little. I don't know what to call it. A little vlog, a little story they did about Efrain Alvarez, who was born in East Los Angeles, and how, he's already made his professional debut, super young, plays for LA Galaxy, and his parents are from Mexico, born in Mexico, and how all this happened so quickly, and how he's had the backing of like Ibrahimovic and stuff. And I believe he originally had played for United States, but then Mexico poached him. So these are the kids that we're pandering to when we're on Twitter with these English Twitter accounts, But I don't know, man. I kind of feel like it's just stubbornness, Why not just how hard is it to tweet in English these games, and just even if it's someone that doesn't do this for a living, just get your younger niece to like hop on Twitter and start
Your
tweeting.
niece.
Because all these, because like
They do that.
all the front office people in Mexico, it's all like in the family, so
It's sort of like La Pioja, when La Pioja was starting beef because she was tweeting stuff.
it's like
Remember that's how the dad ended up getting in a fight with Martinoli. So Pioja, you start some problems there. No, but that is usually how it goes with a lot of the social media stuff, where they just have so very little money to run it, and they'll just get whoever's just willing to do it on the cheap. But they wouldn't, and I think this is where they get it wrong, because they could get some kids from here, some youngins that
just get interns, man.
dude, I bet. No, but I mean, you could get some kids from here. I bet they would be really good. They might not have experience, but they know how it works, and they know how they're like the audience. So I think they would, and a lot of them would do it for free. You could just give them perks, like if go down in TJ and let them, they go in the stadium with a press pass, and
I thought you were gonna say
they
go to
could
Hong
tweet.
Kong.
Hong Kong.
I was like, damn. I mean,
You could get-
that's one way.
Well, you could give them vouchers for that.
No, I'm just saying,
free
like,
meal.
do it as
a
like
free meal at Hong Kong.
like a like a college
what?
credit. No, like a college credit, or like interning or
college
something.
credit. College credit for going to Hong Kong, or
No, for
no, you
the social media.
no, yeah, you can, and you just have to reach out, because it's like if anyone's studying sports marketing or
Yeah.
whatnot. So yeah, you just reach out,
Like,
but see, sometimes it's like just because I guess it takes time and it's not worth it for them. They don't care to do some of this stuff. But I do bet, like, if you're listening out there, some youngster, if you're going to school or doing that, you could reach out to some of these teams. especially if you're by the frontera and try to get something like that going.
Yeah.
But the only thing is that a lot of times it like the PR and or like not the PR like the media department for some of these teams is just bad. Like you could have
Oh, it's terrible.
direct you could have, and I'm not gonna name names, but a friend of mine had they gave him the WhatsApp to the dude in charge of accreditation, and he even had the phone number. Dude wouldn't return a call, and I'm like, man, that's so unprofessional. And it's like, and so you do get that, man. You do get that where it's like,
It's unorganized.
yeah, it is.
You
It
don't get
is.
an iPad when you enter the stadium with your schedule. You kind of just have to find someone that's wearing a suit, and you're like, all right, I'm sure this guy can get me into the press box or something.
No, but yeah, because it is, and I got to, when I started covering the sport here, it was before Soccer United marketing, and you had the different like promotoras, like they would be in charge, like Soccer 2000, Inter America, and you had all these different companies that would do the whole, they would organize the games, and it was just more difficult to get through. And then once Soccer United marketing came in, they just had, you could email, you could call, and it was just night and day. And then if you did get accredited, I would get an email with the all the info I needed, man, from the
Yeah.
flight. They're coming in on this flight at this airport. They're staying at this hotel. Practices at this time. Practices at this place. Uh, and then it's like, and set up like, okay, there's gonna be interviews at this time and whatnot. And so, man, major props for the old reporters because they had to run around, you know, trying to figure all this stuff up, you know,
Just
trying
like,
to trying to scrunch for that info and then just
yeah.
chase the team around. And if you didn't have connects, you pretty much had to be like trying to ask people, and they wouldn't tell you because you wanna have the exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna get the nota, so it
Yeah.
was more competitive in that way. Now it's like more friendly now. But yeah, that's just Mex, dude. They're still Wild West in that regard. Not all the time, but many times, yeah.
So like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, Liga Guardianes 2020 will kind of be taking a back seat for now. The attention will be on the national team. They play Holland on October 7th. That's this Wednesday at 11:45 a.m. And then they will also play Algeria on October 13th. So keep out for those two matches. Maybe we'll get another victory. Who knows? The last time we played, I think we beat Holland thanks to Carlos Vela. So I'm excited to see how these boys match up in 2020. But yeah, Joel, is there any other closing thoughts you have?
Yes, just the Liga, man. It should get pretty good. I know it's 12 teams, but there's a lot of room for slip ups. Uh, but it should, and I know a bit of contradiction. One of the things I said in the past about you're gonna have to try to not qualify, and it does seem that way for some
Yeah,
teams.
it's harder to not qualify at this point.
But so it's 12 teams. The top four are automatic into Liguilla. That's León, Cruz Azul, América, and Pumas. And then the 5 to 12, Tigres, Monterrey, Pachuca, Chivas, Toluca, Santos, Puebla, and Juárez. Dude, Juárez made it in, dude. And the last, the, the teams that are on the outside looking in, Cholos, Atlas, Querétaro, Necaxa, Mazatlan, and St. Louis. And I think St. Louis, that big you could probably count them out.
They still got single
Maybe.
digits, man. 8 points.
Yes, because they have single digits, and while they have a chance to qualify, what? It's funny, man. Yeah, because if they win 2 games,
2 games, they're back in
they could
14
they
points,
could
man.
practically jump into 12. But I think having that minus 13 goal differential is gonna hurt them,
Yeah.
and so I could bet on them not making it. And Mazatlan with the boy, I just don't see that institution being too serious, and just they lack the players. Um, Same with Necaxa, they just have one of those seasons del olvido. I could probably see these three not making it, but
Yeah, I mean,
Querétaro, Atlas, and Cholos they're still there,
yeah.
man. They're still clawing. I mean, Necaxa potentially,
Well,
but
Necaxa
they
sold all their
just
players to Chivas, so they don't really have, you know. Which, by the way, apparently they haven't paid for them yet, so kind of an awkward situation.
the check bounced, man.
Because Chivas leading up to that match against Necaxa were like, oh, don't they look so much better wearing, Chivas uniform? It was like Alexis Peña, Chicote, and I forgot the third player. Oh, Canelo. And then Necaxa tweeted back, yeah, you guys haven't paid yet.
She should be like checks on the mail, man. It's been held up due to COVID.
Hey, man, we're waiting for that stimulus check, okay? But it's coming. It's coming.
The second stimulus check. Yeah, man. Katang.
Yeah, we'll be doing match day 14 predictions next week because those matches won't happen until, again, 10 days from now. So
10. That's the thing. I think 10 days. I think that's gonna be good for Buse. Just because he hasn't had like much time to work with the squad. He pretty much came in and at full swing with a lot of stuff going on, from players being suspended to getting sick with COVID to doble jornada and whatnot. So
yeah, that's
he
true.
came in through rough situation. But I do think having this time to just
relax.
Yeah, just work with the team more and not have to worry so much about like I have to play this guy or not, or he's going to. I do think he could work. 'Cause I know the big complaint is how the team hasn't looked. They haven't played and it's boring and they haven't played nice and whatnot. But hey, give this guy a break, man. It's not. It's easy as it seems.
Fortunately for Chivas, the only player that got called up for these European matches was Tiba Sepulveda. So he's the only player that will be making that trip abroad. So Vuse will pretty much have the most of the team to himself. But I'm very excited to see what happens against Holland. And like our YouTuber comments mentioned, this Holland team is pretty impressive. They have big name players, but I would not rule out what Mexico can do, especially with Raúl Jiménez playing really well right now and Tecatito as well. It's a shame we won't have Chucky, but I think it'll be some entertaining stuff. But yeah, thanks to everyone in the comments tonight and for everybody hopping on. And we'll make sure to catch you guys next week. Cool.
Yeah, it's good. It got fun. I enjoyed